Chapter 296, Robbing Materials. In the evening, Zhou came again. She had dinner with Fang Hao and his son, but when she saw Fang Hao going straight to the study without washing the dishes to delve into medical records, she was infuriated. Thick stacks of medical records, no one knew how long this research would take. Anyway, it wouldn't involve mathematics. This country bumpkin really had no sense of propriety. She left in anger. Through the analysis of medical cases, Fang Hao discovered that Yang Wenjin had made a name for herself in gynecology. She gained recognition after treating a retired cadre's family member, becoming a star at the Provincial People's Hospital and soaring to new heights. This had happened nearly 20 years ago. Wait a minute. Yang Wenjin wasn't originally a medical student. She studied literature in college? She abandoned literature to pursue medicine? How impressive. Fang Hao, after reviewing the early medical treatment records of Yang Wenjin, found that although she followed standard procedures, there were no mistakes. Considering she wasn't from a medical background, achieving such success labeled Yang Wenjin as talented. Xingling Tian was indeed capable of identifying talent. How did he convince these women to give up their original professions and switch to new ones? Yang Wenjin abandoned literature for medicine, and Qingyu gave up finance to enter the legal system? Was this a coincidence? Fang Hao, lost in thought for a moment, received a WeChat message from his ex-wife. He had his son answer the call. Thinking about something, Fang Hao became more suspicious, and his expression grew darker. When the phone returned to his hands, Fang Hao asked, Su Ro, before you married me, what was your best field in university? Or what were your major interests? Su Ro was puzzled and asked, why are you asking this? Just answer if you want, forget it if you don't. Husband, you're the one asking, and your attitude is still so bad. I remember back then, my mom wanted me to study mathematics, and my dad wanted me to study economics. I was good at both, and I was amazing, hee hee. Oh, I remember now. You changed your major in college. You switched from mathematics to financial management, business management, and human resources. It's quite a broad change. Was it Xingling Tian who suggested it? You really listened to everything he said, huh? Husband, you. Enough, let's not talk about it. I'm busy, let's hang up. Fang Hao hung up the phone, his brows furrowed. Xingling Tian managed to persuade Su Ro to switch from studying mathematics to a field related to corporate finance. The persuasive power was extraordinary. Furthermore, Fang Hao recalled Su Ro's academic performance. Based on her GPA after changing majors, she was indeed more outstanding than when she studied mathematics. After graduation, Su Ro gave up the opportunity to start a company in Jiangsu and Zhejiang with her aunt and stayed in the local Julong group, working in finance. Although she achieved excellent results, it didn't make much sense. Fang Hao initially thought it was because Su Ro was pregnant and had a child, but in reality, it was because Xingling Tian was in Jiangdong City. His thoughts had drifted a bit far, and he quickly brought them back. He sent his son to take a bath and go to bed, while he continued to analyze Yang Wenjin's treatment records. The next day at noon, Huang Yidao and Fang Hao met. Huang Yidao lit a cigarette and asked, any findings? Yang Wenjin switched from literature to medicine, showing considerable talent as a doctor. Her treatment methods are standard, with no major breakthroughs but also no significant errors. So, it's useless? I thought I could find some flaws in her past. It seems I can't surpass Lu Jing in this regard. Truly frustrating. Huang Yidao was quite disheartened. Not necessarily. Sometimes, being too conventional can be a mistake. Fang Hao handed over 2 medical records, saying, take a look at these 2. Huang Yidao examined them, looked puzzled, and said, what's the problem? The surgeries were successful, and no one died. Huang Yidao believed he would have done the same if he performed the surgeries and treatments. One case involved a minor liver surgery, and the other was a prostate surgery in the urology department. Fang Hao explained, the surgeries were completed without any failures, but they aren't perfect. Timing is crucial. Take the case of Zhao Fu, for example. If the surgery had been done a day earlier, his male function could have been preserved. Now, with the prostate removed, he has lost that function, affecting his overall happiness. While this may seem fine without scrutiny, in reality, when things get complicated, who can clearly say? Huang Yidao's eyes lit up. He carefully compared the data and entered the computer to find relevant records. Since the surgeries happened 8 years ago, the data storage at that time was quite advanced. He could review CT scans and other information. He asked, "Are you saying that if the surgery had been done a day earlier, Zhao Fu's situation would have been different?" "I think it could have been done earlier because if you look at these indicators." Fang Hao pointed out the relevant data on the computer for Huang Yidao to pay attention to. Right, Fang Hao, you're truly a genius." Huang Yidao was delighted. He looked at Fang Hao with a bit of fear. This guy's ability to find faults was terrifying. This kind of ability was a double-edged sword. After hesitating for a moment, Huang Yidao called Zhang Jing and roughly reported the situation. Fang Hao wanted to continue the discussion, but he received a call from the maternity department. A pregnant woman he was in charge of called, claiming to feel a bit unwell, and asked him to come and check. Upon arrival, he found the pregnant woman was in excellent condition, completely contradicting what was mentioned over the phone. The woman admitted that she just wanted to see Fang Hao and asked him to come. Fang Hao was speechless. In the evening, two unfamiliar visitors arrived at Fang Hao's home, a lawyer and the patient Zhao Fu who had the prostate surgery. Fang Hao keenly sensed that Zhang Jing was behind this. Unexpectedly, Zhao Fu turned out to be a policeman. 8 years ago, Zhao Fu was a detective. During a struggle with a criminal, he was stabbed and beaten, requiring medical attention. He was quite nervous and asked, "Director Fang, was my condition really misdiagnosed? Could I have avoided the removal surgery entirely?" Fang Hao replied, "It might not be a misdiagnosis, but rather a matter of surgical timing. From my perspective, if I had performed the surgery 8 years ago, a day or two earlier, the result might have been different." Zhao Fu gritted his teeth and said, "So I was ruined by that despicable Yang Wenjin? She completely ruined me. I'm going to deal with her." The lawyer comforted Zhao Fu and turned to Fang Hao, asking, because of Mr. Zhao's situation, his wife divorced him, he suffered a setback, and he was forced to leave the front line of criminal investigation, entering the background to handle archives. His once promising future was truly ruined. "Dr. Fang, if we see Yang Wenjin, would you testify in court?" Fang Hao replied, "It may not need to go to court for Mr. Zhao to receive appropriate compensation. Mr. Zhao, you need to control your emotions now and stay rational to gain the maximum benefits." "I understand." The lawyer understood, and they left with Zhao Fu. Fang Hao escorted them to the elevator door, but unexpectedly, when the elevator arrived, his ex-wife, Su Ro, was inside. He said goodbye to the lawyer and turned to see Su Ro staring at him. Fang Hao suddenly felt a sense of unease, hoping his ex-wife wouldn't figure something out or cause trouble. He kept a calm expression and asked coldly, "What are you doing here?" As expected, his ex-wife inquired, "What are these two doing?" Zhao Fu was clearly dressed as a policeman, unable to conceal his identity. Fang Hao explained, "They came early to discuss some details with me about the upcoming TV appearance." "Why are you here?" "I came to see if you found a stepmother for my son." Chapter 297, Astounding Revelations. As Fang Hao entered the house, he noticed that his ex-wife was playing with their son, treating her as if she were not an outsider. This displeased him, but the pure and tender laughter of his son indicated genuine happiness. Upon closer inspection, Fang Hao found his ex-wife tickling their son's armpits, causing him to burst into laughter continuously. How despicable. He wanted to say something, but the doorbell rang. Checking, he found that his ex-mother-in-law, Zhou Fen, and Su Buiyuan had arrived. He let them in but still asked, "What brings you here?" "Dad, Mom." Su Ro came out, greeted her parents, and asked her son to quickly call his grandparents. Su Buiyuan and his wife were a bit surprised to find their daughter here. They both concluded that these two were still connected despite their divorce. Su Buiyuan asked, "Xiao Ro, where's Jie Jie? Why didn't you bring her over?" "Jie Jie has extra classes and couldn't make it." "What extra classes?" "Just let Jie Jie go to classes, she doesn't need to attend every day." Su Buiyuan turned to Fang Hao and said, "Let Tian Tian also attend extra classes, don't worry about the money, I'll cover it." Su Ro quickly interjected, "Jie Jie is a girl, she's learning dance and body training." "Bastard, you're really a liar. One lie requires countless more to cover it up. I can see that you'll have to live in a world of lies in the future. You brought this upon yourself." Fang Hao didn't respond but let them be. He entered his study. Zhou Fen observed her daughter and asked quietly, "Remarried?" "Working on it. Don't mess things up for me," Su Ro confidently stated. Changing the subject, she asked, "Why are you two here?" "I came to urge Fang Hao to quickly give me the answer." Zhou Fen entered the study. If her daughter and Fang Hao could remarry, she would be delighted. Su Ro looked at Su Buiyuan in confusion, asking, "What answer?" Su Buiyuan explained, "Fang Hao solved a difficult problem from your mother's math team. The question has a reward of 5 million. Didn't you notice Fang Hao's unexpected talent in math? This guy keeps surprising people. Is my husband this amazing now? Does he possess abilities I didn't know about?" Su Ro felt joy, regret, and fear all at once. Suddenly, she remembered Fang Hao's angry words before, threatening to make her and Ling Tian suffer. During this time, Fang Hao remained silent and didn't resort to violence. She had thought he was just venting. Now, with Fang Hao displaying more abilities, the methods he might use for revenge against her and Ling Tian seemed increasingly insidious and invisible, making them hard to guard against. In the study, Zhou took the paper Fang Hao handed her and quickly scanned it. She could tell it was the complete solution. She was overjoyed but couldn't help asking, "How could you bear to hand this over? Is it because Xiaoro is here?" "No. Yang Wenjin should be expecting the results, and she will leave the hospital. Also, I can see you don't have the capability." "Oh, here's the answer. After confirming, go and get the money for me. If you can't even handle this, don't let me see you again." "You, kid, why do you speak like that?" Zhou scolded Fang Hao but pondered in her heart. This kid spoke so arrogantly. Just as she was about to ask Fang Hao why Yang Wenjin wanted to see the results and what those results were, Fang Hao's phone rang. It was an emergency call from the hospital. After giving a few instructions, he left directly. In the room, Su Buiyuan looked at his wife, daughter, and nephew and remarked, well, Fang Hao is busier than I am." Zhou sat down, turned on the reading lamp on the sofa, and said, "I heard the call from the surgical department, asking him to perform surgery." Su Buiyuan said, "This kid Fang Hao is making a name for himself. The reputation of being the best surgeon in the provincial people's hospital will only grow louder." Su Ro asked, "Is my husband really that amazing?" Su Buiyuan said, "Fang Hao works very hard, or maybe we only see his hard work and overlook his intelligence. After accumulating so many years, encountering a good platform, he will naturally soar to new heights." "Soaring to new heights? I think he's not focusing on his proper career. Look at him, with such excellent mathematical talent, but he chooses to be a doctor. It's a waste. Su Ro, you're just too ordinary." Zhou couldn't help complaining about Fang Hao, taking the opportunity to criticize her daughter as well, feeling both distressed and annoyed. Waving the paper in her hand, she said, "Su Ro, I used to think you also had talent in this area, but you insisted on changing your direction to study corporate finance. What's the technical content in that? Now look at Fang Hao, standing at the pinnacle of wisdom." Su Buiyuan said, "I don't agree with that. The economic foundation determines the superstructure. Except for natural science, technology is still the primary productive force." The two old people began to argue. Su Ro felt a headache coming on. She entered Fang Hao's study, passing by the bookshelf, gently touching the works on various subjects: medicine, mathematics, economics, law, forensic science, criminal investigation, and more. Looking at the foreign language papers promised on the table, even with her proficiency in foreign languages at level 8, she found them difficult to understand. This is her husband's world of wisdom. What am I doing? She sat on the computer chair, tapped the computer, and found a password. She recalled that the previous password hadn't changed. Her heart warmed because this password was her birthday. My husband still has me in his heart. She opened the computer, followed the latest usage traces, entered the pictures, and browsed through them. She discovered a series of photos of Ling Tian and Yue Xia at the seaside. Su Buiyuan happened to come in, saying, "Fang Hao showed me this photo before." "Su Ro, is this you?" Su Ro was startled. Seeing that Ling Tian's face wasn't shown, she breathed a sigh of relief. She said, "Of course not. This woman is named Yue Xia, a student at Jiangdong University. It was taken in June of last year, and I didn't go abroad last year." Su Buiyuan looked at it and said, "I thought it wasn't you at first because it looks similar at first glance, but upon closer inspection, it's different. Hey, from my perspective, this woman named Yue Xia looks a lot like your mom when she was young." "Really? Was my mom like this when she was young?" Su Ro was also surprised. "Yes, very much so. When your mom was young, she was almost the same in height and figure, extraordinarily beautiful." Su Buiyuan reminisced about the past, his face calm and content. "Who looks like me?" Zhou voice came in from outside. Su Ro quickly closed the photos and said, "Mom, Dad said that when you were young, you were incredibly beautiful. Zhou Fen blushed slightly, glared at Su Buiyuan, and said, your dad must be blind. His first love was Yang Wenjin. Su Buiyuan hurriedly said, don't talk nonsense. I have no feelings for Yang Wenjin. It was just something I said after drinking. It's not true. Moreover, I really had nothing to do with Yang Wenjin. At that time, she was already Ling Tian's woman. Su Rou suddenly felt uncomfortable. Fang Hao's sarcastic remarks about her and Yang Wenjin being former lovers were like a bolt from the blue, making her deafened by the revelation. Chapter 298, Husband, You Can't Beat Me. In the middle of the night, Su Rou didn't leave. She had put her son to sleep and had also dozed off, maintaining a sideways position. She woke up when Fang Hao returned. Facing away from the bedroom door, Su Rou could sense Fang Hao entering. He didn't wake her up or come over. Instead, he closed the door behind him. After waiting for a while, Su Rou turned to look at the closed door. Her eyebrows furrowed. If it were before their divorce, or even before Fang Hao began to suspect her, he would have definitely come over to tuck in her bed sheets. He might have even lightly kissed her face and tenderly laid down beside her, holding her close to sleep. But now, those intimate gestures were gone. She lifted the covers, got up, and quietly opened the door. She heard the sound of water running in the bathroom, thinking Fang Hao was taking a shower. Her lips curled up, and she entered. Fang Hao was showering, and upon seeing his ex-wife come in, he turned off the water and said, you're awake. You can go back, take care of Yue Xia, and attend to your old lover. Su Rou's body trembled slightly. She approached Fang Hao from behind, trying to hug him, but he directly pulled her hands away. Undeterred, she hugged him again, and this time Fang Hao didn't resist. She held onto him tightly, feeling his breath. Fang Hao said, Su Rou, this is meaningless. It only makes me more disgusted. Let go. Husband, you are the one I love the most. And you are the one who disgusts me the most. Su Rou, I'm tired today. I don't want to argue with you. I just want to rest. Fang Hao suppressed the emotional fluctuations within him, speaking in a calm tone. I'll stay here with you. I promise not to disturb you. No. Fang Hao knew that if he let her stay once, she would feel entitled to stay again. Allowing it once would only make her more insistent the next time. Fine. Su Rou let go of Fang Hao, left the bathroom, and entered the master bedroom, locking the door behind her. When Fang Hao came to open the door, she said, I'll accompany our son. I'll take care of him. You rest well, and I'll leave when it's dawn tomorrow. Su Rou, you. Husband, don't knock on the door. You might wake up our son. Su Rou heard the door indeed quiet down, and she also heard the closing of another door in another room. She knew Fang Hao had gone to the study. A smug smile appeared on her lips. Husband, you can't beat me. Fang Hao was indeed tired. Shortly after returning to the study, he fell asleep. He had a dream of 4 years ago when he returned to university, met Su Rou, and the two enjoyed the beauty of youth together, tasting green apples. The taste was indescribable. However, when he woke up at dawn, he found a map drawn on his underwear. Full of vitality. After all, Fang Hao was still a young man. Despite being divorced for some time, he hadn't been with other women, so it was inevitable that he would become stimulated. He thought about Su Rou, who was in the master bedroom. Although he could have gone over, he had no intention. Just the thought of his ex-wife being taken advantage of by that old pervert Ling Tian made him feel no desire, only disgust. He went to take a shower and then made breakfast. Not long after, the ex-wife also got up. She was freshening up and then called for Fang Hao. When Fang Hao went over, he found his ex-wife standing naked in front of the mirror, admiring herself. This visually shocked Fang Hao greatly. If it were the time before getting the paternity test results, Fang Hao would have definitely gone up and severely reprimanded her. He would have shown her through actions that he wouldn't be seduced. Su Rou touched her slightly bulging belly and said to Fang Hao, I just felt fetal movements. Come and feel. Seeing Fang Hao standing still, she added, your son, I got the paternity test results long ago. He's yours, and they are twins. Come and feel, they seem to move a bit just now. Fang Hao paused, unexpectedly finding out that the children in Su Rou's belly were indeed his. This left him conflicted. But he still said, Su Rou, you don't have to give birth to them. You can still get an abortion now. Are you crazy? These are your children. Su Rou immediately retorted angrily. You're the crazy one. Have you thought about it? Will Ling Tian accept children that aren't his? No way. He didn't even make a commitment to marry you. Would he allow you to have another man's children? Then he truly would be delighted in his old age. Fang Hao sneered, feeling bitter inside. He had been a dad for 3 or 4 years already. He continued, you are Xingling Tian's plaything. Even if you give birth to these 2 children for me, I won't take you back. So, why trouble yourself? Husband, you're so heartless. But don't underestimate me. The children in my belly are also my children. I'll give birth to them, and I'll raise them myself. Su Rou bit her delicate lips tightly, staring at Fang Hao with determined eyes, holding back the tears of grievances. Your own children? Yes, just like Yue Xia. Does it not matter who the father is as long as they are your biological children? You are truly disgusting. Fang Hao snorted, feeling angry. Seeing that Fang Hao had no desire, Su Rou knew that her attempt to seduce him had failed. She finished dressing up and wore her clothes. Fang Hao prepared breakfast, thinking of waking up his son, only to realize that today was a weekend. Su Rou wasn't polite this time. Instead of eating delicately, she devoured her food, not for herself but for the 2 children in her belly. Despite Fang Hao's clear statement that he didn't want the children in her belly, even if they were his own flesh and blood, she insisted on giving birth. This might be the only bond left for her to remarry Fang Hao. She said to Fang Hao, I'll take our son out to play later. You're too busy with hospital work, and you don't have time to play with him. It's not good. So, I'll find a stepmother who can play with him. Fang Hao said directly. Su Rou's swallowing motion paused, and she looked up at Fang Hao coldly. She swallowed the food in her mouth and said, I disagree. Fang Hao didn't mind and said, Su Rou, it seems you can only bully honest people. Zhou Yun, Qingyu, Su Hong, Zhou Jiejia, Yang Wenjin, and other women. You don't mind sharing a big bed with them, but after our divorce, you still want to control me? You're truly hypocritical. Husband, it's not what you think. Su Rou wanted to explain, but found her words sounded weak and feeble. Fang Hao had mentioned these women, and all of them were Xingling Tian's women. She didn't know it before, but now that she knew, it couldn't change the fact. At this moment, their son came over and said, Mom, I miss Yue Xia. Su Rou replied, alright, we'll go see Yue Xia in a while. Dad bought me a new toy. I'm going to get it to play with Yue Xia. The son became excited and ran into the bedroom. Su Rou sighed softly and said, Yue Xia's condition hasn't improved. Fang Hao replied, don't tell me. She's the result of you and Xingling Tian. Let Xingling Tian donate bone marrow to her. Ling Tian's not a match. Really? Neither Ling Tian nor his daughter is a match. This shouldn't be the case. I think Xingling Tian is just too attached to his own dog's life. He's afraid that donating bone marrow will worsen his health. You used to think Xingling Tian was omnipotent. Why not ask him to save Yue Xia? Husband, this is leukemia. Ling Tian is not a doctor, and he is powerless. Wrong. It's not that he can't, but that he won't. Although Yue Xia is the result of you and Xingling Tian, you dare not let her see the light. In the end, it's because you two are too selfish. Now, he doesn't dare to announce that he has a daughter, and when she's sick, he's unwilling to donate. Why not seek donations from society? Oh, at the moment of public recruitment, he has to act quickly. Otherwise, if the scene where he holds Zhang Jun's kidney hostage is exposed, he might face retaliation. Su Rou's eyes lit up. Are you saying that through public fundraising, we can find a matching donor for Yue Xia? In these days, shamelessly getting close to me, isn't it just waiting for my suggestion? Your favorite, in the end, is still your old lover. Chapter 299, What virtue or ability do I possess? On the rooftop of the hospital, Huang Yidao handed a cigarette to Fang Hao, who accepted it and lit up. They observed the hospital's main entrance from above, watching as Yang Wenjin and several members of the disciplinary committee left. Huang Yidao commented, Yang Wenjin probably won't be able to return this time. Fang Hao replied, she should be fine. After all, it's just a matter of the timing of the surgery, not a delay that can affect the operation. At that time, other experts and doctors were present, and none of them noticed any problems. Obviously, they all prioritized stability. Yeah, even if I were to take on such a surgery now, I would choose the same approach as Yang Wenjin, prioritizing stability. I wouldn't dare to be as bold and daring as you. Huang Yidao took a few deep puffs of his cigarette, looking relaxed. He said, that doesn't prevent us from achieving our goal, making Yang Wenjin step down and vacate her position, giving you a chance. Fang Hao shook his head, saying, I don't stand a chance. Without any surprises, it will be Zhou Long who takes over. Oh, at a time like this, you're still trying to challenge him without a strong foundation. Isn't that seeking death? Oh, your insights are truly unique. Fang Hao's phone rang, and he took a look. It was Zhou Long's number. Instead of answering immediately, he said, "See that? Zhou Long is calling. He wants to discuss the matters of the outpatient department with me, as expected. What a mess. Why bother cleaning up after him?" Huang Yidao took a few more puffs, then extinguished his cigarette. "As the department head, you're powerful. I'm just a gopher, always cleaning up after people." Fang Hao answered the call, and as he expected, Zhou Long asked him to come to the office for some instructions. He went over and found Zhou Long sitting in Yang Wenjin's office, occupying her chair. Fang Hao asked, "Director Zhou, what's the matter?" Zhou Long said, "The patient from your surgery last night, everything's okay, right? No problem. With Director Huang overseeing it, he's in charge of postoperative care, not my responsibility." Zhou Long said, "I know you performed the surgery. You did very well. Let me be frank with you, old Yang is going to retire early. I'm currently in charge as the acting director. Fang Hao, I have high expectations for you. Earlier, when you temporarily took charge of the gynecology department, your performance was outstanding. This time, I want you to serve as the temporary director of the outpatient department, overseeing all medical work there. If you have no objections, just sign here." Fang Hao looked at the appointment letter in front of him, calmly saying, "Director Zhou, you're overestimating me. What virtue or ability do I possess? I'm not suitable for such a big responsibility. So, please find someone more capable." "You're refusing? Why reject such a good opportunity?" "Fang Hao, don't be modest. I know about your capabilities. Director Zhou, you're aware of my personal situation. I've just gone through a divorce, and I have a pile of personal matters to deal with. I can't handle the responsibilities of a department head. Please find someone else." Fang Hao stood up and left. "Fang Hao, you, come back. This little brat, offering a toast and not eating the penalty. He dares to be so ungrateful." Zhou Long was very angry, his face turning green. Fang Hao, such a person, was being disrespectful. However, he couldn't do anything to Fang Hao. If he expelled Fang Hao, he would have to take his place. And if he took over, the patient from last night with the brain tumor hemorrhage would be on his hands. He couldn't bear that kind of responsibility. In the afternoon, before getting off work, Yang Wenjin returned, packed up her personal belongings, and considered herself completely leaving the stage of the Provincial People's Hospital. Fang Hao was called over and, seeing Yang Wenjin packing, feigned ignorance, asking, "Director, are you going somewhere to seek higher positions?" "Higher positions? I'm retiring early. From now on, no one will suppress you in the hospital. You are ready to soar. However, Fang Hao, don't be too happy too soon. There are plenty of people in the hospital who don't like you." Yang Wenjin swept a glance at Fang Hao, feeling a sense of trance and unwillingness. She had been eliminated by time. Fang Hao said, "Are you talking about Director Zhou? He doesn't like me, and I don't like him either. I don't need to care about whose face I see now that I'm not short of money." He lit a cigarette and said, "Yang Wenjin, tell me about this guy Xingling Tian." "Xingling Tian? There's nothing good to say. It's all old and stale stuff." "Then why did you ask me to come?" "I want to tell you that you have no hope of becoming the director. If you cooperate with Zhou Long and support him, you can get the maximum benefit in the hospital." "Zhou Long? You have such confidence in him. Do you have a romantic relationship with him?" "Vulgar. Shameless. Disgusting." Yang Wenjin immediately rebuked Fang Hao. Seeing Fang Hao's playful smile, she took a deep breath, calmed down, and said, "Don't doubt my words. Of course, I can't trust your words. If I did, I might be working as a dental assistant now. Speaking of which, why are you so sure that Zhou Long will definitely become the director?" "I don't mind telling you. Because the Zhou family is going to produce two big shots, one at the ministerial level and one as a general in the military group. If you want to compete with Zhou Long, you have to use your head." Fang Hao fell silent. Yang Wenjin continued, "So, a wise bird chooses its tree to roost. If you are a smart person, you should know how to choose." Fang Hao asked, "The Zhou family. Is there any connection between Zhou Long and the Zhou family of my ex-mother-in-law?" "They are from the same family. Originally, you could use your relationship with Zhou Fen, but since you divorced Su Rou, you can't rely on Zhou Fen anymore. You can only rely on Zhou Long. Support Zhou Long with all your strength, and you will have a future in the Provincial People's Hospital." Thank you, Director, for your guidance. Fang Hao's phone rang, and he took the opportunity to leave. Later, Zhou Long came in and said, Old Yang, hasn't Fang Hao agreed yet? Not yet. This kid's temper is stubborn. Even worse than Su Yuqing. But you don't need to rely on him. I've retired now, and you take over. There is a vacancy, so as the new leader, go and invite a few people out for dinner and chat. Yang Wenjin handed a list to Zhou Long, giving a brief introduction to these people. Zhou Long looked at it and said joyfully, these are all top experts and professors. If they are willing to come and assist me, I won't worry about not achieving results. When I have results, my shortcomings will be gone, and I will have more confidence to remove the word acting. Yang Wenjin said, yes. Huang Yidao's arrival caught us off guard. We lost the departments of surgery, cardiovascular, thoracic surgery, outpatient, pediatrics, etc. I can't afford to lose any more. Zhou Long was overjoyed but also a bit worried. Old Yang, I don't have any relationship with these expert professors. They are directors or vice directors in other hospitals. How can they come here to be department heads? Don't worry, someone has already paved the way for you. Just take big steps forward. Chapter 300, The Chosen One. The one calling Fang Hao was Li Xiaoxi, who was currently in the parking lot. Fang Hao had also finished work and arrived at the parking lot, noticing Li Xiaoxi's car parked next to his. Approaching Li Xiaoxi's car, Fang Hao saw her applying makeup inside. The car carried a distinct scent of women's perfume, strong enough to make him want to sneeze. He commented, is it necessary to spray such strong perfume inside the car? Do you like it? Li Xiaoxi raised her eyebrows, a kind of indescribable coquettish pride in her eyes. The perfume she sprayed in the car had the effect of stimulating the secretion of opposite-sex hormones, adding a touch of romantic atmosphere. I don't appreciate it. This scent makes me allergic. As a medical student, with the limited space inside a car, are you not afraid of suffocation? To cut to the chase, what do you want from me? If you can get the family member of that pregnant woman to agree to transfer hospitals, I have no problem here. Fang Hao straightforwardly stated. That pregnant woman left him somewhat speechless. If it wasn't pregnancy syndrome, then it was pure infatuation. Of course, if it was the latter, it wasn't a big issue. What he feared was pregnancy syndrome, as pregnant women at that level could be extremely difficult to handle when their temper flared up. Li Xiaoxi replied, let that pregnant woman stay in your department. She came for you, after all. Of course, if you agree to work in my obstetrics and gynecology department, she will naturally follow. We can even arrange a VIP ward for Mr. Cheng. Fang Hao, come over, you are now officially the department head. She handed Fang Hao an agreement, an appointment letter. Clearly, Fang Hao had signed it, making him the department head. She continued, I heard about Yang Wenjin's situation. I really didn't expect her to get caught up in such an unclear dispute, leading to her early retirement. With her stepping down, you won't have the chance to be promoted. So, joining the obstetrics and gynecology department is the wisest choice. Our cooperation will undoubtedly be seamless. These women trying to poach him were really sincere, coming with an appointment letter in hand. Fang Hao said, oh, how do you know I won't be promoted? Just now, Zhou Long approached me and asked me to become the head of the outpatient department. Zhou Long lied to you. The head of the outpatient department is an expert professor named Ding Mingquan. He will start working next week. Ding Mingquan? How do you know? Fang Hao was secretly surprised, scrutinizing Li Xiaoxi. He found that her speaking speed remained constant, indicating she was probably not lying. Since the outpatient department has already selected a new director, why did Zhou Long still mention it to me? Even if it's temporary, it shouldn't be just a one-week temporary job for me. Is Zhou Long intentionally messing with me? Or does Zhou Long need this 1 week? Fang Hao is very puzzled. In fact, this circle is not big. If you delve into it with all your heart, you can get a lot of information. Of course, the most important thing is that my husband knows Ding Mingquan. Mr. Ding entrusted my husband to find a house and a personal assistant, so the news naturally came out. So when Zhou Long approached you, it was just to appease you. Now, Zhou Long is the acting dean, wielding absolute power. If he wants to use you, it's definitely for your medical skills, not your personality. I'm different, I value both your medical skills and your personality. Li Xiaoxi extended her hand, placing it on Fang Hao's thigh and gently patting it a few times. Thank you for that. But I still choose to stay at the Provincial People's Hospital and run for the position of dean. Fang Hao frowned. Li Xiaoxi, what exactly are you trying to imply? Are you trying to seduce me? Take a look in the mirror at what kind of person you are. You want to be the dean? Why are you so stubborn? Are you the department head? Do you have 30 years of experience? Do you have more than 10 years of relevant work experience at the level of vice dean or above? Do you have connections at the top? You have nothing. What qualifications do you have to run for the position? Li Xiaoxi seemed anxious, as if she couldn't compete with her vague tactics. Yes, I have nothing, and I'm not highly regarded. If I can still be elected, it will be quite surprising. So tell me, who has a chance to become the dean? Fang Hao took out a cigarette, placed it near his nose, and sniffed, regaining some sense of smell. Otherwise, the scent of the perfume here would really make him sneeze. I haven't paid much attention to the affairs here, but my husband cares a lot because he plans to introduce several medicines to the Provincial People's Hospital, making them flagship products. He said that originally, the most likely candidate would be parachuted in, directly appointed from the deputy deans of hospitals in Beijing, Shanghai, or Guangzhou, or even directly appointed from national medical authorities, not considering those from the local area. However, there's a recent rumor that someone is pushing Zhou Long up. Who is pushing him? I don't know. If you don't know, how did you get this inside information? I'll ask my man when I go back, and find out where he got the inside information from. Snap. Fang Hao lit the cigarette and took a puff. Hey, don't smoke in my car. The smell of your cigarette is too unpleasant. You go back and inquire. Let me know if there's any news. Fang Hao opened the car door and got out. Li Xiaoxi shouted, Fang Hao, why don't you consider my invitation? Grasp something better. Why pursue those unrealistic dreams like chasing after the moon's reflection in the water? Fang Hao didn't answer, just waved his hand and got into his car, driving away. When he returned home, he found that his ex-wife hadn't brought their son back. He learned from a phone call that she was taking their son to attend a relative's banquet at the Su family, and then they would stay at Su Buyuan's house, not returning to his place. Su Ro, if you think you can achieve your remarriage goal through our son and make me wear a green hat again, you're dreaming. Both you and Zhongling Tian deserve no good ending. Fang Hao casually prepared some dinner, and not long after, he received a call from Li Xiaoxi inviting him to go out for a meal and have some fun. He directly declined. Li Xiaoxi wasn't pleased, but she still informed him that her husband got the news about Zhou Long's reappointment through her elder aunt. In fact, combining the information from Yang Wenjin, it was somewhat clear to Fang Hao that Zhongling Tian was orchestrating things behind the scenes. Now, with the additional information from Li Xiaoxi's husband's elder aunt, this further confirmed his suspicions. Shortly after, Lu Jing initiated a video call, and Fang Hao gladly accepted, engaging in a lengthy conversation. The doorbell rang, and upon checking, it turned out to be the lawyer who came by yesterday. The lawyer seemed a bit disheartened and said, the resistance against Yang Wenjin's case was greater than we anticipated. Originally, we intended to send her to prison, but in the end, she settled by compensating and apologizing. Director Zhang seemed to ease off a bit, not continuing to press aggressively. This is the best we can do. Knowing that Zhongling Tian was behind Yang Wenjin, Fang Hao commented, how much did she compensate? Zhao Fu received a compensation of 3 million this time. Unfortunately, he was called in for a talk by his superiors, asking him to ease off and not make a big fuss. As expected, Fang Hao asked, have you met Director Zhang? The lawyer replied, no, for matters like this, Director Zhang wouldn't personally get involved. Indeed, they were all cunning schemers lurking behind the scenes. Fang Hao said, pass a message to Director Zhang, his opportunity is coming again. What opportunity? Director Zhang will understand.